Right now at 5, a high-speed chase ends with a SWAT team surrounding a house in Jasper County, Missouri.
We've got our first round of thunderstorms rolling through the area. Another round behind that. More on the way. We'll take a look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus, Pittsburgh State and KCU Joplin announced a new partnership for medical students.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Elise Snowy.
I'm Chris Warner. So I'm not exactly sure when you left to get up here, but on my drive, I actually ran into a small hailstorm.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I mean, it was small
thunder.
hail. It wasn't big, but it covered the roadway. It came down pretty good.
Wow.
So
no, I must have missed that. It was just thunder and a little bit of flashes of lightning here and there.
I was hoping to beat it. I woke up, I saw the radar. I was like, all right, if I get dressed fast enough, maybe I can get there fast enough. I did not, unfortunately. Now, that's the good news. This was just small hail, but we do have a threat for strong and potentially low-grade severe thunderstorms out there. This is a live look from our camera on top of the Cornell Complex in downtown Joplin. And, of course, roadways, parking lots wet from that first round of showers and storms. MoDOT camera 20th and range line looking good so far. Some of us are in that first pause, but we're going to have multiple rounds, or what we call periods, of thunderstorms as we go through the day. So here's the Skywatch Storm Tracker. A few showers around Bourbon County and some of the parts of southeast Kansas. The bigger complex of showers and storms still stretching back Osceola, Stockton, just south of Nevada, east of Lamar, right around Greenfield, and stretching back to Mount Vernon. And we've got quite a bit of lightning with these thunderstorms as well out there, and we've still had to deal with some small hail. Here comes round number 2. Now, just a half hour ago or so, this zone just had a couple of little cells in it, and it's populating pretty quickly as these thunderstorms get going. Same with these this morning. As you see, they got going pretty quickly out there and got organized. And as we look to the west, look at how quickly this is coming together. This is where we're going to see more showers and thunderstorms as we go through the morning. And there is an attendant threat for some hail and damaging wind gusts as we go through today as well. We'll talk in depth about all of that here in just a few more minutes. Right now, a little cooler up north. We've got some upper 40s. The rest of us hanging out right in the 50s. Most of us right around the mid 50s out there this morning. Kids getting on the bus, be prepared for some thunderstorms. Make sure if you can take them up to the bus stop in the car, probably a better idea. Sitting at 53, southeast breeze at 5 to 10. As we head into the afternoon, we'll have some showers, a few additional thunderstorms. About 63, southeast breeze 10 to 15. We'll have some gusts up to 25, and those will be gusts outside of any of the thunderstorms that may be a little on the strong side later today. Showers and thunderstorms throughout our day today. Highs making it into the low, maybe mid 60s out there. As I mentioned, we do have that risk for some stronger storms as we go through today, tonight, and into part of our Friday as well. And we will look at all of that in detail with your full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, we'll see you soon, Chris. Well, a chase in Cherokee County, Kansas leads to a manhunt in Jasper County, Missouri, all in connection with a stabbing death. Law officers yesterday afternoon surrounded a property on 1100 block of Malang Road west of Joplin. They eventually used a battering ram on their tactical vehicle to enter the building. They also searched out buildings but didn't find anyone. This all began with a car chase in Cherokee County, Kansas around noon yesterday, reaching speeds of up to 120 miles per hour. Authorities say that chase was connected to the weekend stabbing death of a Carl Junction man, Seth Langford. The car crossed into Jasper County, Missouri, and officers lost it near 7th and Malang, but found the vehicle abandoned behind the home. Again, they did not find anyone. We don't know specifically who authorities were chasing, but we do know they have been seeking these 2 men in the case. Scott Burleson of Wyandotte, Oklahoma, was considered a person of interest and has since been charged with second-degree murder along with 2 additional charges. Paul Phillips of Seneca, Missouri, was considered a person of interest. Authorities in McDonald County, Missouri, arrested a man in Oklahoma wanted by multiple agencies for months. They say Samuel Huddleston of Grove stole a vehicle just outside of Southwest city limits. He is also wanted by Delaware County, Oklahoma authorities for unauthorized use of a motor vehicle and by the Cherokee Nation for child abuse and assault with a deadly weapon, among other charges stemming back to 2023. Law enforcement arrested him yesterday and recovered the stolen vehicle. The Joplin Police Department yesterday announced the results of its youth alcohol compliance checks at local retailers. Of the 29 locations checked, 9 were found to be non-compliant and sold alcohol to minors under the supervision of the JPD. You can find the full list of businesses found in compliance and not in compliance on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. The Joplin Regional Airport is moving forward with establishing a new aircraft rescue and firefighting building. It will house 2 ARFF trucks. The current building sits at the south end of the airport. The new one will be near the control tower, saving about 2 minutes of reaction time to emergencies, according to airport officials.
In fact, we have a mandated time limit to react to any incident on field. So this facility here, being centrally located, will have the ability to react much quicker to anything that happens on the field than where we are now.
The airport's snow removal equipment will also be housed in the new building. Pittsburgh State University and Kansas City University Joplin announced a new partnership. The Accelerated Medical Path undergraduate program saves 1 full year of tuition and fees for students, allowing them to get into the workforce 1 year earlier. The program provides PSU students automatic interviews to KCU, the medical school. KOAM's Fernanda Silva was at the press conference yesterday and has the details.
I am so excited. I love working with our students. We have some tremendous students on campus that are involved in so many different activities, as well as they're intelligent and they're driven.
The reason for the smiles in the Bicknell Family Center for the Arts hallway and for Professor of Biology Mandy Peak Bryan's excitement is a new PSU program in partnership with Kansas City University Joplin.
Students will have 3 years at Pitt State. Following the 3 years completion of those requirements, then they will matriculate into KCU. After they complete that first year of medical or dental school at KCU, then they'll transfer those credits back to Pitt and they will receive a bachelor's degree.
After that, students will continue with their medical path. High school seniors and students who have not yet completed their first semester at PSU can apply to the program.
The stats that's out there, a lot of times students stay around where they get those degrees, so we're hoping that this becomes a means of us increasing the numbers that we have in the area.
AMP-UP students will have the chance to complete their clinical education in our local communities, serving friends and neighbors, and participate in world-class research opportunities, which will enhance their future careers as practicing physicians and dentists.
PSU hopes to have the first cohort in the fall.
I look forward to hopefully recruiting even more of those fantastic students to Pittsburgh State University.
In Pittsburgh, Fernanda Silva, KOAM News.
According to PSU, the cohort will include up to 35 students per year, 25 students interested in going into medical school, and 10 interested in going into dental school. That's a look at the morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes, coming up on the KOAM Morning News. Missouri Southern took on Missouri Western in the opening round of the MIAA basketball tournament. We'll have the details. Plus, authorities in Paris announced some changes to the 2024 Summer Olympic Games opening ceremony. And thunderstorm chances return. We'll have what to expect with Chris Warner in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back.
Productions, a non-profit cinematic arts organization, presents
weekdays at 3 on KOAM TV.
Well, March is here, and that means every college basketball game takes on more and more importance. Last night in Kansas City, Southern men's hoops open up MIAA tournament play. We're going to start with the opening round of that tournament. Missouri Southern taking on Missouri Western. In the early minutes of the game, Darius Dawson gets things started as he throws the hammer down. Get a few possessions later, Dawson almost throws it away, but Winston Desiso picks it up and finishes the layup. Western leads by 4. Griffin started to create separation at the end of the half. J.C. Anthony throws down the dunk. Missouri Western led by 8 at the break. So we go to the second half. Lions look to get back in the game as Winston Desiso drains the three-pointer. Southern got within 5, but Western was too much. Tay Fields finishes off the glass. Then Keani Saxon is going to deliver the knockout blow with this dunk. Missouri Western defeats Missouri Southern 62-56. The Lions season comes to an end with a 13-16 record.
Tough night. Just didn't shoot the ball very well. I thought we got some good shots. Especially around the rim, and then we just missed some open shots on the perimeter as well. Thought our guys played extremely hard, tough, and that's a good team. So credit to them for their defense, and they're a talented team, and I think their length bothered us around the basket.
Last night, state tournament play began for 4 of our local high school basketball teams from throughout southeast Kansas. We're going to start on the boys' side. Riverton basketball making its first appearance at state in nearly 10 years. The Rams fall to Goodland in the quarterfinals 68-46. Their trip to state is short-lived. Riverton finishes the season with a 17-7 record as sub-state champions. To the Class 4A girls state tournament, the Lady Tigers advance to the Final Four. Fort Scott takes down Clearwater by 22 points in the semifinal. Their next contest is on Friday night. They're guaranteed 2 more games no matter what. If the Lady Tigers win their next one, they play for a state title Saturday. If not, they'll be in the 3rd place game. In that semifinal game, the Lady Tigers will face Bishop My Edge. That's because the Stags take down Labette County in the quarterfinals last night, 68-33. The loss ends the Grizzlies' season. Labette finishes 2023-2024 with a 16-7 record. This season marked their 3rd trip to state in the past 4 years. Lastly, in Class 2A, Colgan girls basketball keeps its undefeated record intact, and the Lady Panthers move on to the Final Four. They beat Eureka 66-50 in the quarterfinals. This comes on the same night the other unbeaten team in Class 2A loses. That's the 1 seed Leote. Colgan plays its semifinal on Friday night at 6. Switching gears to Missouri, over in Columbia, Liberal girls basketball making its first appearance in the Final Four in school history. The Lady Bulldogs fall in the semifinals 55-25 to South Nottoway Platte Valley. Their season isn't over yet. Liberal plays Delta in the 3rd place game tomorrow afternoon at 3, and we'll have complete highlights and post-game reaction from that contest later this evening. Still to come, a new study finds microplastics are linked to double the chances for a heart attack. We have what you need to know. Plus, we're tracking thunderstorms across the area. Round 1 rolling through, the 2nd round on its way. We'll be back with more right after this.
Kelly, Vice President of Operations with Phoenix Home Care here. If you or a loved one need assistance in the home, reach out to Phoenix.
KOAM Skywatch weather with meteorologist Lindsay Gaffney, on air and streaming.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It is now 5:18 on this Thursday morning. Showers and thunderstorms have been the trend. Round 1's already rolled through. We've got wet roadways and parking lots here on our camera on top of the Cornell Complex in downtown Joplin. Bulk of the thunderstorm activity for now rolling east and northeast of Joplin. MoDOT camera 20th and range line. Calm for the time being, but we have more showers and storms on the way. This is the KDOT camera on 69 at Kansas Crossing, just to the south of Pittsburgh, and also good so far, but there's actually another little thunderstorm that's popped up just to the north and east of Pittsburgh right now. We've got scattered storms across parts of southwestern Missouri. This is that first batch that rolled through. So just south of Osceola, north of Stockton, getting ready to roll into Greenfield. Another batch. This is that cell that just developed outside of Lamar. Scattered storms, Fort Scott, Nevada, just south of Butler. And then as we head closer to Mount Vernon, just to the northeast, right on I-44 around Halltown, another decent set of thunderstorms out there. So far, no severe thunderstorm warnings, nothing like that. But as I mentioned this morning, ran into some pea-sized hail on the way here. And hail is the primary concern with any of the stronger storms we see. Take a look at this batch. Really starting to ramp up out here, stretching from outside of Wichita all the way back down toward McAllister, Oklahoma. All of this has just blossomed within the last about 30 minutes across the area. So let's look at the loop. Going back, look at how quickly this activity gets going, and look at all of that lightning associated with these thunderstorms as well, as this whole batch continues to lift off to the northeast. So we're getting that first pause, and here before too much longer, that second round will be making its way in here. So in terms of our severe threats, now there has been a bit of an upgrade, if you will. They've added a low-end tornado risk for parts of southeast Kansas and into northeastern Oklahoma. It's a very low risk, but it is there. The bigger concern is hail, where we do have now an elevated risk for parts of southeast Kansas and a low-end risk for the rest of us. And then, of course, maybe some strong wind gusts out there. Hail, again, though, is going to be the primary threat with any of these storms. So as we go through the morning, that second round rolls on through. By noon, that batch of storms that we're watching now just outside of our area will be lifting off to the northeast. We'll have additional pauses, and as we go later into the evening, more showers and thunderstorms will develop across the area. And as you see, we get these gaps every so often in between each round of thunderstorms. Heading toward this time tomorrow morning, additional showers and storms, and we'll have them a little more scattered on our Friday. And then by Friday evening, we have another risk for some stronger storms basically along to the south and east of Interstate 44. And by tomorrow evening, that's when we could see an additional round of showers and thunderstorms. So looking down the road, we've got today's risk, which has that elevated section for parts of southeastern Kansas. And then we do have that low end risk again, almost right along into the south of I-44 as we head into tomorrow. By Saturday, though, we do begin to clear on out. So those rain chances, of course, you can see where they kind of bob around, but they do stay relatively high over the next 24 hours across the area. Right now in Joplin, our camera at 7th and range line looking northwest. Not much to see out there at this time. Mostly cloudy, 55, east-southeast breeze at 7. Temperatures, for the most part, are hanging out into the 50s out there. A little cooler up north. We've got some mid to upper 40s for Yates Center, Iola, and Fort Scott, as well as Sedan. And again, as we go through the morning, we're going to have those thunderstorm chances out there. Temperatures just kind of hovering in the mid to upper 50s for the most part. And then as we get some of those gaps and storms this afternoon, that will allow us to warm up a bit into the low 60s out there. We'll have those showers and storms continuing again through the evening and overnight hours, and because again of the clouds, the rain, and everything else, we just kind of hover into the 50s across the area, maybe some upper 40s. A little cooler tomorrow, upper 50s, and then of course don't forget on Sunday we got to spring forward, lose an hour of sleep unfortunately, and then we'll see nice conditions through the weekend and into the start of next week with additional thunderstorm chances next Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. That is a check of your forecast. We've got Health Watch coming up right after this.
You've got 4 days, and 4 days only to send. Plus, get 4 years no interest financing. But hurry, the 4-day super sale at Furniture Row ends soon.
Topping Health Watch this morning, a new study finds microplastics are linked to double the chances for a heart attack, stroke, and even death. The study was published in the New England Journal of Medicine on Wednesday. It found people with micro and nanoplastics in their carotid artery tissues were twice as likely to die from any cause over the next 3 years. That was compared to people who did not have any tiny plastic particles in their systems. The carotid arteries carry oxygenated blood to the brain. They can come clogged with fatty cholesterol plaques, which is similar to cardiovascular disease. Nanoplastics can invade individual cells and tissues in major organs, potentially interrupting cellular process. Researchers said this is the first study that has associated the plastic contamination with human diseases. A bill to get residents more access to advanced cancer treatments has passed Indiana's legislature. Now all it needs is the governor's signature, and one man aims to make sure that happens. Stacy Schooler reports.
No one wants to hear those words from their doctor, "You have cancer." But if a person does, they want all the tools available to fight it so they can beat it. And that's where biomarker testing comes in. That's according to Keith Hollingsworth, a Lafayette man who's seen success with this form of treatment. He's a husband and father of 2 young boys who was diagnosed with stage 4 colorectal cancer in 2021.
I'm your untraditional colon cancer patient, right? So I was diagnosed at 41 years old. So I was diagnosed without being the age to even have a colonoscopy. I didn't have any symptoms leading up to it. I just had abdominal pain one night, went to the emergency room, and later that night found out I had a mass in my colon.
He says this legislation will ensure that more insurance plans in the state cover biomarker testing, a game changer in the fight against cancer and an essential step in accessing precision medicine treatment. This testing takes a tumor's DNA makeup and finds the most effective medicine to treat it.
The way biomarker testing works is they take a tissue sample of the original tumor and basically build the DNA makeup of that tumor. So they know exactly what makes up that lesion or that cancerous piece. And then they can go back and show what drugs are effective with those types of mutations and those types of tumors.
This testing will also help address a significant barrier and bring the promise of precision medicine to more Indiana residents, no matter their income.
From a Hoosier perspective, we want to make sure that all Hoosiers have access to biomarker testing, and that does not exist today. Whether that be from an insurance perspective, from a doctor perspective, and this bill will put everybody on a level playing field to have access to this type of testing.
Hollingsworth says this testing has given him a better chance at surviving cancer and more time with his family. He feels that cancer is like having a stopwatch over his head.
14,000 people in Indiana are expected to die from cancer this year. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we are keeping an eye on thunderstorms across the area. One round rolling through the area now. That second round off to our south and west. We're going to have another look at your forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
23% when you bundle auto and home. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Right now at 5:30, the Crawford County Historical Museum hopes to hook the public with its new group.
And we're tracking thunderstorms across the area this morning. More on the way as we head through the day and into our Friday. Just saw some lightning there. We'll have another look at your forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus, the Ottawa County Boys and Girls Club is now in possession of a new location in Fairland.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:31. I'm Elise Snowy.
I'm Chris Warner. Showers and thunderstorms rolling through the area. Some much needed rain. Unfortunately, there's an attendant risk for some strong to severe thunderstorms out there as well. Something I mentioned earlier just on the way here, ran into a fair amount of hail from one of these storms. It wasn't big. It wasn't even near severe criteria, but it came down and covered the roadways pretty well. And hail is going to be the primary risk with any of these storms today. Our camera on the Cornell Complex downtown Joplin just a moment ago, we saw some lightning out there. We have a thunderstorm that's to the north of Joplin. It developed almost on top of Pittsburgh and is pushing off to the east-northeast. MoDOT camera, 20th and Range Line, looking good so far. Wet roadways from that rain this morning. Skywatch Storm Tracker, there's that thunderstorm I was just talking about, getting ready to roll into Lamar right now. We have scattered storms across parts of southeast Kansas, southwest Missouri, stretching back a bit into southeastern Kansas. And the other thing is with these storms, and I noticed this on the drive, and you can see it here on the Skywatch Storm Tracker, they are lightning producers. So we are getting a fair amount of cloud-to-ground lightning. Here comes round 2. So even though some of us getting a little bit of a break, there's a little gap, round 2 is coming up quickly, and it has developed rather quickly, just like this morning's storms. You can see them fire up and get organized pretty quickly, and then look at how fast all of this comes together. This is within maybe a 45-minute window that these thunderstorms began to develop. We don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings or anything at this point, but some of the storms out to the west are a little bit stronger, and they could potentially intensify as they move into our area through this morning. Temperatures, again, a little cooler off to the north. We got 40s in Yates Center, Iola, and Fort Scott, as well as Sedan. Everybody else about low to mid 50s across the area. Kids getting on the bus, they're going to want to make sure they've got the raincoat, an umbrella, or if you can drive them up there, let them hang out in the car for a bit. Probably a good idea. 53 thunderstorms, southeast breeze at about 5 to 10. We'll have some showers, thunderstorm activity this afternoon, 63. And we'll have some occasional southeast wind gusts up to 25. And that'll be unassociated with any thunderstorm activity. Thunderstorms through the day, again, some of these could be strong to low-grade severe, with wind and hail being the primary concerns out there. And our highs between the thunderstorms will eventually make the low 60s. We're going to talk more about these thunderstorm chances in depth and just how long long they're going to stick around here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
Thanks, Chris. KDOT yesterday announced the launch of a road usage charge, and it's looking for Kansans to participate. The 3-month study explores whether a pay-per-mile road usage charge could potentially replace the current state fuel tax as a new way to fund roads and bridges. KDOT is recruiting pilot participants to take part in the study, which is scheduled to begin in April. Participants who complete the pilot study can earn a $100 incentive. Kansans interested in taking part can go to KOAMnewsnow.com for more information. It's National Severe Weather Preparedness Week, and the Pitt State Campus Police Department is making sure students have a plan. The department and school public safety office yesterday hosted 2 training sessions. One was geared towards students and community members, the other for first responders. They focused on what to do to be prepared for severe weather and helping first responders understand how to best help when it strikes.
You know, we had a storm warning siren test at 11 o'clock this morning, so they got to experience that and know what that sounds like. So we want people to have a plan before the sirens go off, and that's really the purpose today.
Signs, how to read the clouds, and like more or less like also preparedness in case push comes to shove with the severe weather, because I have a feeling that this year is going to be a bit more feisty in the area.
Both trainings featured presentations by the National Weather Service. The Crawford County Historical Museum hopes to hook the public with its new group. The Open Hooking with Hooks and Loops group began yesterday. Rug hooking is a simple art craft that can be used for a table mat, wall hanging, or small floor rug. The craft dates back to the 1800s, but still has uses today.
Started the the rug hooking workshops. We had about 8 people that came, but when we added the open hooks on Wednesday and we had all the hookers coming in, we've had that filled up every week.
People with experience with the craft or who have taken at least one class were welcome to attend. The Ottawa County Boys and Girls Clubs is now in possession of a new location in Fairland. The 8,500 square foot facility, which was once a Family Dollar, will now act as the main Fairland facility. This is now the 5th building used by the Ottawa Boys and Girls Club. However, it is only one of 2 buildings actually owned by the organization. Boys and Girls Club of Ottawa County CEO Mackenzie Garst says this is a big step in the right direction for childcare in the area.
We have about 150 kids enrolled in the after-school program, averaging around 75 to 80 kids a day. That's kind of in a one-room facility right now that we're just busting at the seams. We also have kids on the waiting list, and we want to be able to serve them. And so this building will allow us that additional space to serve those kids.
The facility will begin renovation soon and hopes to be open for regular operations by August. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Police in Poland tear gas and arrest farmers during a protest in the capital. Plus, the United Nations is urging for world leaders to take action against gang uprisings in Haiti. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And the law offices of Aaron Sachs and Associates, committed to community service.
Topping World Watch. Authorities in Paris announced some changes to the 2024 Summer Olympic opening games ceremony. Tourists will no longer be allowed to watch the opening ceremony along the Seine River for free. The French government says it will now be by invitation only. The French government cited security concerns, notably recent terror threats, for the changes. The original plan was to allow as many as 600,000 people, most watching the ceremony for free along the river. Now those plans have been scaled back and the overall crowd number will be capped at about 300,000. The invitations will be allocated to towns hosting Olympic events, local sports organizations, and other Olympic organizers. Police in Poland tear gas and arrest farmers during a protest in the capital. Farmers in Warsaw rallied Wednesday against European Union policies and policies coming from Ukraine, saying they are threatening their livelihood. Protesters threw stones and flares at the police, which led to the police retaliating. They say over a dozen people were detained. Similar protests have erupted all across the European Union in recent weeks. The United Nations is urging for world leaders to take action against gang uprising in Haiti. The Caribbean country is facing rampant gang violence after Haiti's two biggest prisons were ambushed. More than 4,000 prisoners were freed. Just days ago, gangs attempted to attack Haiti's international airport, leading the U.S. to suspend travel to the country. Haiti's current acting president, Ariel Henry, is facing pressure to resign. If that becomes a reality, it could result in Haiti shifting to a new U.S.-backed government. China is getting ready to spend a lot more money on its military. The latest figure is
at dawn Tuesday in the South China Sea near the Second Thomas Shoal, a pair of Chinese warships surrounded and rammed two Philippine Coast Guard vessels, escorting Philippine Navy personnel, resupplying an outpost that China has tried to claim as its own. The Chinese warships hit the vessels from the Philippines with water cannons, injuring 4 sailors.
It's still illegal and irresponsible actions ng China to illegally prevent us from doing our routine mission.
What makes this incident so dangerous is the U.S. by treaty is required to come to the Philippines' defense if war breaks out between it and China.
China urges the U.S. not to use the Philippines as a pawn to disrupt the situation in the South China Sea, and the Philippines should not allow itself to be manipulated by the U.S. History shows us that a pawn will ultimately be a sacrifice.
China says it will boost its $222 billion military budget by 7.2% this year. China's defense budget has more than doubled under President Xi Jinping. Compare that to the Pentagon budget for fiscal year 2024, $842 billion, a 3.2% increase from 2023. But Congress's failure to pass last year's budget means zero growth for the Pentagon budget, because military spending has been frozen at the previous year's level, while China's defense spending gallops ahead.
We do continue to call on them to be more transparent about their defense spending and their actions that they're taking, not only in the Indo-Pacific region, but around the world.
Another flashpoint, a new Chinese government report states that Beijing has abandoned the idea of peaceful reunification with Taiwan, instead using harsher rhetoric, vowing to resolutely oppose any separatist activities aimed at Taiwan independence and external interference, a shot across the bow at the United States.
That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Greg Kelly, Vice President of Operations with Phoenix Home Care here. If you are a lover, our care continuum meets our clients where they are. Just reach out to our care team to get started today.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News for at 5:45, almost 5:46 on this Thursday morning. This is a live look from our camera on the Cornell Complex, downtown Joplin. We've got a thunderstorm rolling into Barton County, and so from our camera here, we've occasionally seen some of the lightning from that. MoDOT camera 28th and range line. Again, we have the wet roadways from the rain that rolled through earlier. More is on the way, and the KDOT camera at Kansas Crossing just south of Pittsburgh. Looking good so far, as a good portion of us are in a bit of a lull of activity, but as you can see, we're just kind of sandwiched between it. We have these thunderstorms. This is what started earlier this morning and is continuing to lift off to the north and east. So we've got some heavy rain, thunderstorm activity now entering Lamar, Greenfield, near Stockton, just south of Osceola, north of Nevada, and south of Butler, and just to the north of Fort Scott out there. No severe weather with any of this activity at this point, but some small hail definitely possible and some gusty winds. Then we've got this batch of showers and thunderstorms. This is all rolling off to the north and east. So this gap that we've we've got is going to be very quickly filled as these continue to lift off. Now, some of these storms, they're not severe, but we've been getting hail reports upwards of about a ½ inch of hail out there, and these storms could intensify as they roll into our area. And the reason we're confident that they'll at least maintain is take a look at how quickly they get going. This is within about a 45-minute window. These showers and storms really get their act together from near Hayes all the way down toward McAllister, Oklahoma. This is a good batch of showers and storms. It's much needed rain out there. Unfortunately, as I mentioned, we have that attendant severe risk that goes along with it. And we do now have a low-end risk for tornadoes. This is a very low risk for parts of southeast Kansas and northeastern Oklahoma. That's a very low risk, but it's not zero. The greater concern is with hail. We do have an elevated risk for hail in that same zone, and we've got that low-end risk for hail across the rest of the area, and we could see some gusty, strong winds out to the west as well. But hail is really going to be the primary concern with our storms today. This next batch of storms will roll through the area. By noon, it's lifting off to the northeast, and we're going to have these pauses in between rounds of showers and storms. And by later this evening, more showers and storms will develop and roll through, and we have the potential again for some additional strong storms. Another gap late tonight, early tomorrow morning before we see additional showers and storms across the area. And as you see, we continue to get these pauses, and we'll return by the afternoon, and then by tomorrow evening we have another risk for some strong storms along and south of I-44, and by the evening hours that's when we could see them. So here's today's elevated risk and the low risk for most of the area here, and here's that low end risk as we head into our Friday as well, just almost right along and south of Interstate 44. Quick look at temperatures. Our camera 7th and range line again looking good but wet. 54 east-southeast breeze at about 7. Around the area, we've got cooler temperatures, 40s in Iola, Yates Center, and Sedan. Everybody else right around the mid-50s across the area. And our temperatures are kind of just going to hover through the mid-50s and upper 50s through the morning as we have these periods of showers and storms out there. And then after we get into that afternoon pause, it should be just long enough to allow us to warm into the low 60s today, and then we'll have those thunderstorms continuing across the area through the afternoon, again into the evening and overnight hours. And again, thanks to the clouds and the rain, temperatures will be slow to drop, and they'll kind of hang out upper 40s, right around 50 degrees as we head into tonight. So again, the thunderstorms continue on our Friday, a little cooler as we go into the upper 50s. Much cooler Saturday. Do be prepared for that, and we'll fall back into the 30s for a couple of nights. Don't forget to spring forward on Sunday. It's going to be a great day, but you're going to lose an hour of sleep, so go to bed early Saturday so you can enjoy this beautiful weather. Low 60s. As we head into the rest of next week, we start off nice, clear, warm, and we have additional shower and thunderstorm chances as we head into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week. That's a check of your forecast. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
For the St. Patrick's Day free community 5K at rmhjoplin.org.
Schedule your free at-home estimate. If you want the best for last, call Windows for Less.
A young child from Colorado is joining an exclusive club. He recently was accepted into the prestigious high IQ society called Mensa. This accomplishment earns him the right to be called one of the smartest kids in the state and maybe even the world. And he's only 5 years old. Erica Fernando spoke with him and his family.
I'm going to take a tiny little mouth out of his mouth.
Oh, wow.
Look at it.
You can learn a lot about sharks.
He's the fastest shark I know.
Deep space, why the Titanic sank, and how airplanes work from this 5-year-old.
This one still has 2 landing gears.
Those are some of Jacob Young's biggest interests.
A galaxy.
Questions about history, how do planes work, challenging me.
His family moved to Monument in 2018.
I have one scary page.
Oh, show me. Jacob's dad, Joshua, is an intelligence officer with the Space Force. His mom, Renee, a former data analyst. And the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
National Geographic, he loves the History Channel. The conversations are like what you might have in a high school or college class, but it's with our 5-year-old at the dinner table.
Jacob is a kindergartner at Prairie Winds Elementary, where Aileen Finnegan is interim principal.
I was in his kindergarten classroom last week, and I noticed the students were writing books, and they were writing simple sentences and telling a story with details. and Jacob's topic was World War II airplanes.
His parents had a doctor test his IQ and for giftedness.
And with his test scores, she said, oh, he will get into Mensa, and it's this organization that can kind of help him nurture and foster these abilities as he grows up.
With around 150,000 members in 90 countries, only those who score in the top 2% of the general population on an approved intelligence test qualify for Mensa.
You like airplanes?
Yes, I do.
Jacob took the hours-long test.
Found out a few weeks later that they had accepted him.
He scored in the top 1%.
It was exciting. It was really exciting.
A child that keeps asking questions.
Is that a pirate ship?
Challenging even his parents, whose goal is to keep fostering his young mind.
Jacob's older sisters are both top testers too, and straight A students. Now the Youngs might be considering Mensa for their other children too. We'll be right back.
Hepatitis C, don't just treat it, crush it with Maverick.
Conquer it with Maverick.
Every possibility. KOAM and Fox 14 celebrating our female leaders during Women's History Month and year-round.
Big money. The Mega Millions jackpot is up to $687 million for Friday's drawing. That's a lump sum cash value of just over $332 million. If there's a winner, it will be the 6th largest Mega Millions prize ever awarded. The jackpot has been growing since it was last won in early December. A public library in Massachusetts is accepting cat photos instead of fees for lost or damaged books this month, and we're not kidding you. It's part of the Worcester Public Library's March Meowness. A photo or even a drawing of any cat erases fines. And in the first 5 days of the month, 400 accounts were cleared. The idea started when a library task force noticed a lot of younger patrons had fees dating back to the start of the pandemic, and they didn't want those people to stop using the library because of the fines.
And we've got ourselves thunderstorms as we go through the morning and into today, tonight, and tomorrow. We're going to kind of hover in the mid to upper 50s out there with this next round of storms getting ready to roll through this morning. And then when we get some pauses here and there, we will eventually warm into the low 60s. Some of the storms we see could be strong, though low-grade severe, with hail being the primary concern. However, some damaging wind gusts and much further west, maybe an isolated tornado can't be ruled out. But really, in all honesty, being straightforward, the primary concern with the stronger storms is going to be large damaging hail out there. Thunderstorms again through the evening and overnight hours, and we'll fall back to right around 50 degrees for our overnight low. As we head into tomorrow, again, more thunderstorms out there, and a couple of strong storms will be possible once again, mainly along and south of I-44. A little cooler upper 50s, much cooler Saturday, right around 50, and we've got a couple of overnights into the 30s. Don't forget to spring forward on Sunday. It's going to be beautiful, though. Low 60s, sunny, nice on Monday as well. Thunderstorm chances return by the middle of next week. That's a check of your forecast. We're back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Rely on our years of experience at Bath, Naylor, and Frisco Funeral Home.